Welcome to Wellness Warriors, a podcast addressing the root causes of illness and their natural solutions. And now your hosts of Wellness Warriors, Dr. Justin Lane and Michele Schroeder.
Hello, Dr. Justin Lane.
Hello, Michael. How you doing?
Great, thank you. And Michele Schroeder.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Now, how are you today? Are you better than awesome?
I am fantastic.
Fantastic. I like that. I can see the effervescent glow coming through already.
That's right. Yep.
That's great. Well, in our last podcast, we talked about how we can use mindset as medicine and rewiring your brain as healing. So we want to pick up in this part two. I want to learn how we can actually rewire our brain for healing. What are some simple mindset techniques we can use? Who'd like to go for that?
I'm going to start, and
Okay.
I want to kind of back up a little bit and talk about cause and effect. And I think one of the biggest beliefs that we have to have, this is why I coach, okay? Because I believe we can be at cause. And so I just want to kind of tell our audience a little bit about how you can tell if you're at cause or if you're being a victim. Because I think the first thing you got to rewire in your brain is you got to get to a point where you believe you can heal, you believe that you can make a difference, that what you do makes a difference. So, for example, somebody who's at cause is going to be somebody who's taking action, whereas a victim would be procrastinating. So that's just a contrast there.
Okay.
Somebody who's at cause, I took notes so I can remember, okay?
Yeah, go for it.
So you're going to notice your choices and your opportunities, whereas if you are not at cause, you might believe there is nothing you can do. Also, when you're at cause, you learn how to control your emotional state, whereas when you are not, you react. You just react to things all the time. So the reason I wanted to start with that is because I really think that the biggest mindset shift that people have to have is a belief in what they do matters, and that it can actually have an impact on their health and on their body and on their relationships and on their attitude and everything. So that's number one mind shift tweak.
Okay. Dr. Lane, anything to add to that?
No, that was well said.
That was really well said.
Yeah.
I think we all need those orange cards that you got there. So if someone listening today, they're feeling discouraged, they're feeling stuck, and they're going, I don't believe any of that. That sounds like a bunch of woo-woo stuff to me. Are you telling me that I can just think about stuff and my body will just make it happen? My emotions can control these cells in my body? I don't believe that. I've never seen it happen. If that were true, I would have learned that in school. How am I going down this path?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you may have heard those things before.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody who's watching and listening today is feeling that way, what can they do to get unstuck?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I really think if you can pay attention, so first of all, just be really present and pay attention and notice, I'm feeling unstuck. I'm feeling stuck. What does that feel like in your body? What does stuck feel like? Is there fear? Where does that land in your body? Where does this emotion show up in your body? And here's a simple experiment to know that you're at cause.
Okay.
Is you decide that if I'm past that, if I no longer have that anymore, once I don't feel stuck anymore, ask yourself, how do I want to be different? And really get honest. How do I want to be different if I was no longer stuck? And you'll start to notice, I want to be enthusiastic. I want to be excited. And then the next step is to say to yourself, well, if I'm enthusiastic and excited, when can I think of a time when I was actually enthusiastic and excited? Now, some folks that we work with can't hardly remember because they've been suffering for a while. But you can go clear back into your childhood. What was my enthusiastic, excited self like as a child? And you just start thinking, what was that like for me? And you get yourself into even a scene of what you were experiencing when you were enthusiastic and excited. And then you just think about that for a minute. And as you're remembering that and as you're thinking about that, just go ahead and notice what your body feels like now. And if you can recognize the state change that you created just by just choosing to think about something different and more positive, then you will know that you have power to change.
So we're creating our own reality.
Ah, yes.
We're not stuck in somebody else's reality of what they want us to be or think we should be, and we're simply reacting to somebody else's reality. We have the ability to create what we want to create within ourselves.
Yeah, we're all creators.
Yes.
I like
Yeah.
that.
And you have, think of it like this. You are not, the map and the territory aren't the same thing. So just think about it like this. If the map is everything that, first of all, the territory is stuff that happens to you. So it's a signal that you pick up from your environment, okay? But the map is all of the filters that it has to go through, the beliefs it has to go through, your past experiences, and all the knowledge and learning you've had, what your parents taught you, what your religion taught you. That has all created the map, and it's all your filters, so that when you have something hit you from the outside, that is going to be something that filters through all of this. And just remember, the map has holes in it, and it's not the territory. So your perception of reality comes from your belief system and your map. And what we want to do is bring that map to wholeness again, so that it does not leak out the wrong results for you.
So my perception of reality may not be the actual real reality that someone else has created for me, or I have inadvertently created a false reality by myself. So not realizing that I'm a creator, perhaps I created my unhappy reality.
Yeah.
I need to get out of that and create my happy reality.
It's kind of like, pessimist and an optimist, right?
Yeah.
Pessimist sees things usually, or skeptic, worse than they actually are. An optimist will see things often better than they actually are. Although they tend to be happier long-term, although they may be in disillusion because they're seeing everything as better than it is, but they tend to live a happier life because of that. Whereas the person who's negative and skeptical all the time tends to live a more negative life. So it back to what you focus on, you feel, and the questions you ask yourself elicit a state or elicit a feeling. So ask wise questions.
Yeah, I've been around people like that. I can't wait to get away from them.
Yeah.
I can feel the, I don't know what you call it, the energy, the sadness. It's stress.
Yeah.
They're exuding a stressful energy. It's like, I have to go in the other room. We're done. We're done.
Yeah, so listeners, think about how do you show up? Are you showing up as a stress case? Are you showing up as negative Nancy? Are you showing up as gratitude, love? Like where do you fall on this spectrum? And then recognize that you get to choose what you want to be like.
Yeah.
And every result we're getting, I don't love all my results. I don't love all my results. I got areas in my life that I don't love my results. But at least I'm aware of the fact that I created them, and that it's my opportunity to create new ones. So even with chronic illness, even with autoimmune disease, with sickness, we have to take some responsibility for what we're giving ourselves, what we're giving ourselves. It is important to recognize, and the power is within us to do the changing.
So explain to me the concept of self-kindness.
Self-kindness or self-compassion?
Either one.
Okay. Yeah, that's one I could work on. No. Yeah, I think my biggest way of giving myself self-compassion is to my favorite statement: progress, not perfection.
Ooh, I like that.
I just really like that because, my second biggest way of giving myself self-compassion is next smallest step. So I'm a big believer that you can put yourself in a good process energy. Like we've talked about how to change your state. So whatever you want to be, how you want to be different, how would you be if that were how it was? Get yourself in a time when you remember being like that, and that's high process energy. And then from that state, you ask yourself the question, what is my next smallest step? And then you just take it and you recognize that if it doesn't work, it's just an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just come back to the table again and take your next smallest step till you have it done.
And I think to your point, the state you're in when you make decisions makes all the difference. If you're in a lousy state and you're trying to make decisions, they're going to be lousy decisions usually. If you're in a peak state, you're in a good state, you're probably going to make different decisions, better decisions, more proactive decisions. Whereas if you're feeling depressed or low energy, you're going to, so your state is everything. It really leads to everything else. Your state and then your story that you've been telling yourself, which may or may not be true, but you've weaved the story about why, and now that's keeping you, stuck as well. So, but the state, it starts with state. If you're in a good state, you make better decisions and you feel better.
I have a friend who was in a state of despondent despair and depression. And what was interesting, he was a young guy, he still is, and he's a multimillionaire. Beautiful home, lovely family, and he is miserable.
Yeah,
in his
a lot
life.
of people are.
He's completely unhappy, and so he went to, he sought some professional help on this. And it kind of goes back to the kindness and compassion that you're talking about. The person he was talking to, they said, you know what? You need to stop thinking about yourself. It's not all about you.
Exactly.
And so he said, here's what I want you to do. When you're feeling this way, I want you to go out, get out of the house, get out of the office. I want you to go out and do one simple act of kindness and service for someone else.
Yes.
Somebody you don't know. Just go out there and do something nice for them. And I don't really care what it is. If it's a homeless guy,
It
buy
could be
him
simple.
lunch.
Yeah.
Simple.
And
just some-
easy.
Yeah.
You focus on others, you're not going to feel depressed.
Yes.
It's kind of selfish.
And that really did the trick for him, was to not look at inward, was to focus outward. And that he said it gave him more fulfillment than the millions of dollars he made.
And that's it's exactly to the point that I was going to make, which is we stress and we put so much value on the science of achievement in our culture. Achieve, achieve, achieve. Success is financial for many people. It's a representation of their success. And yet a lot of folks who do well financially are miserable because they haven't mastered the art of fulfillment, which is what you're alluding to.
Yes.
So the science of achievement's one thing, the art of fulfillment is another. And if you don't have fulfillment without achievement, you're going to be miserable. And so, yes, but to your point, when you focus on others, we will always do more for others than we'll do for ourselves. And so that therapist was really smart and said, hey, focus on other people, focus on serving other people. You get out of your own head and you focus on helping others, and it snaps you right out.
Yeah, and if anybody out there's been, experiencing a lot of depression and they feel like they can hardly get out of bed or do anything for themselves, let alone someone else, I want to just throw out another little scientific truth. It's called the quantum Zeno effect.
Ooh.
And it's a quantum, I don't even know what the rest of that is, quantum science study.
Yeah.
And what they've learned is that if you have a feeling, there's only one way to keep it going. And that is to focus on it and get your story going on it. So think of how you keep a fire burning. You are throwing logs on the fire. So let's just say, you feel like nobody ever treats me good and blah, blah, blah. And it creates a feeling in your body, and you're going to be in a state. But the quantum Zeno effect says it only lasts for about 6 to 11 seconds. So if you just let the feeling just ride through you and you don't throw any logs on that fire at all, it'll dissipate. How do we throw logs on the fire? We start thinking about the last time somebody da-da-da-da-da. We start thinking about that story about how this person did that, and we're mulling it over, kind of sitting in our pity party.
Get stuck in your story.
Yeah, you get stuck in it. And so I invite anyone that hasn't experienced this just to try it, where you just allow the feeling to be there, no judgment. You have a moment where you just don't feel very happy, or you just, something's not quite right. Just allow it. Allow the emotion to rise a little bit. I call it face and embrace. The emotion is there, it's real, and maybe it brings tears to your eyes for a moment, and then you just kind of let it float on by. And then when you notice that it just floated on by, do one of the actions to just change your state. Like get up, go put on some music that makes you happy, put your hands in some dishwater, whatever it takes, just move your physiology and see if you can, do the state change.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you're feeling like, I can't help how I feel, it's okay. You can welcome those negative feelings once in a while, but just know that they will pass. And as they are there, you can even say, thank you. Thank you for coming and reminding me that I need to stay safe. But you've done your job for the day. Go ahead and leave. And
Wow.
you've got a lot of control over that.
I think gratitude is something that really
I was
plays a
gonna
big
say
part
that,
of it too. Sometimes we forget to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the more that you practice gratitude, the more you get. It's like anything you focus on. So, if you have a gratitude practice, that's really the remedy for stress and frustration and overwhelm, is get grateful. In that moment, you can change your state with, like you mentioned with your example, you get grateful, you start breathing through your heart, and you get out of your head, magic happens, and you really start to feel more grateful for all the gifts you have. So it's again, focusing on what you don't have, on what you have versus what you don't have. And most people are focused on what they don't have, and then they're comparing themselves to other people. And so it's just disempowering. It takes the power away from you, and it doesn't allow you to create and be who you were meant to be.
That's a really good point. I went to a seminar one time, and it was kind of a wealth building, gratitude appreciation seminar. And this guy goes, okay, how many people here today have $5 in their pocket? And everybody raised their hand. He goes, okay, I want you guys to know that right now, every single one of you that raised your hand, you have more money than 98% of the people on the planet.
Right.
Because you have $5. So you need to be grateful for the things that you have been blessed with or awarded in your life, and quit having this pity party, which is dragging you down with your negative attitude.
Yeah.
It's making you sick. It's making you tired. You need to be grateful for what you have. Go out there and do something for somebody else that maybe doesn't have $5.
Yeah, and it's
You know what I
interesting.
mean?
It's human nature, right? Because
Yeah.
in some of these countries where they don't have money, they have a lot of love, a lot of family, a lot of gratitude for that, and they don't have the financial well-being as they'd like, but they're grateful for what they do have. So I think it's just human nature. You tend to think about what you don't have. Yeah, that's kind of the human brain.
Yeah.
Because we're always trying, we always want more.
Survival.
We're never quite satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
But I challenge you, again, we've been talking about this last time and now. I challenge you to kind of figure out what gratitude feels like in your body. So go ahead and think of a time when you were just so grateful for something, to somebody or for something, whatever that is, and just think of a time like that. And then notice the shift in your body, how it feels to feel grateful. And when you're in that state, now take some deep breaths, like 5 seconds in through your nose, filling your diaphragm, and then breathe out. And each time you take that breath in, just think of another thing that you're just so grateful for. And I like that you put your hands over your heart, because that's a really, really good way to enhance that.
Yeah.
But you really want to be able to feel the gratitude, not just say, well, I'm glad there's sunshine, but really be glad that there's sunshine. Like, think of a time when you were really glad there was sunshine. What was that like in your body? And really pull that up in your body. That's really, really important for making that cellular change.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Now that you're mentioning that, I immediately had this mental picture of a time when I was immensely grateful. And it was, I was in Santa Barbara, and I was out of my kayak about a mile offshore, and I turned around the kayak and I went back. I looked back at the shore, and this overwhelming sense of gratitude completely captured me. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. I'm so grateful that I'm here and able to be here in this moment and this time. And I said, I just want to thank you for making this beautiful place for me to enjoy.
Yeah.
I was really, really thankful. It was amazing.
Speaking
I
about
still remember
rewiring.
that. Oh my!
I mean, go out in nature. That is one of the best places for a little bit of rewiring.
Yeah.
Just being able to. I was taking a walk the other day with my dog and my daughter, and the sky was just. It was dark, and there was some clouds, and the stars were peeking through, and we just both took a minute and we just looked up, and you could just feel your whole body change just by noticing the stars and the way the clouds were creating little designs in the sky. It's just a really good feeling in your body.
Yeah. Is that because like of the negative ions that nature produces in like running water? And that's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm. I've heard that too. Yeah. I'm not super scientific on it, but yeah.
I don't know. It seems to work.
Mm-hmm.
I felt good that day.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. Being in nature is one of the best.
Yeah.
One of the best for a
Well-
state change.
Well, before we go today, are there any other tips that you can give us to help us change our mindset to affect healing, be more grateful? Is this all going to happen at once, or is this a baby step kind of a thing?
You know what? The more you practice it, the better it gets. And the more you practice it, the more ingrained in your neurological pathway it becomes. And it becomes a habit.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in the habit of being negative, or are you in the habit of being positive? What habit are you in as far as how you use your language? These are changeable items. You can make a difference. And anyone who wants to heal, this is a really good jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
They can start with this.
So I have questions. Give me your phone number, even though it's below. But just say your phone number really quick. How can we call you?
Yeah, 435-246-7642. It's 435-246-7642.
And Michelle?
I'll give my phone number too.
Yes.
435-268-5352.
Great. Hey, this has been a great conversation today.
Thanks, Michael.
I'm grateful for this opportunity.
Grateful for this moment.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm grateful to be here.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, we're going to see you guys again next time with another exciting adventure with the Wellness Warriors. You guys take care. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
See you later.
Thanks.
This has been Wellness Warriors, giving people the knowledge to have a healthy and vibrant life. For more information, elementalnaturalmedicine.com and KMichelleSchroeder.com. We invite you to join us next time for another edition of Wellness Warriors.